Many of our viewers may have never heard of it, so we want to find out today about what you guys are up to and about the Catholic Climate Covenant. EJ, Emily, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
So, EJ, we're going to start right off with you. What is the Catholic Climate Covenant? I have no idea.
Yeah, so the Catholic Climate Covenant is a nonprofit organization. It's based in Washington, D.C., and it helps empower the youth and adults through their parishes to bring about climate justice.
Okay.
Now I get it. Thank you for that. That was very succinct, and I understand better now. And let me address this question to both of you, if you don't mind. We live in a wealthy country. Sometimes we forget that, you know, and we rely very much on fossil fuels, and we know that that contributes to an enormous amount of greenhouse gases per person per capita and compared to any other country. So what inspires you guys and your friends and classmates to answer the Pope's call for protecting our common home? What inspires this in you?
I'm very passionate about climate change because I've noticed that in the past few years, many natural disasters have been the direct cause of climate change, and most who are affected by these natural disasters are the poor and the vulnerable who do not have the resources to address these disasters. And as a Catholic, I believe that, you know, we have to care for those who cannot care for themselves.
Sure.
So I believe that through climate change, through environmental justice, I can hopefully help those who need the help the most.
Have you guys both been down to Washington, or have either of you been down to Washington?
I didn't see the organization while I was there. I've been there before, though.
Okay.
No, I haven't been there
See,
before.
this is what we need to do. We're going to talk to St. John's Prep and
Take a trip.
Fontpont and take a trip.
Yeah.
You know, I'll drive the car, and we'll get down to Washington. So how did you, and I'll start with you, EJ, how did you get involved with the youth mobilization program? What inspired you to do it?
So what inspired me was I spent a lot of time in the Adirondacks of New York State.
Oh, it's
It's
beautiful.
a beautiful place. But if you take a drive around, you can see the effects of acid rain there, which is caused by air pollution in the forest. And so that's probably my earliest memory of something that made me want to get involved.
How about you, Emily?
I got involved when my teacher sent an email about an organization called the Catholic Climate Covenant that opened a chapter in Boston. And I just thought like, oh, this will be really fun and really interesting, and I could learn more about climate change, so I decided to join.
And did you ever think that when you guys joined, you'd end up on TV talking about it?
I did not, I'm going to be
Absolutely
honest.
not.
No, it's pretty cool.
Would that have been a deal breaker, you think?
No, it's a pretty cool
Not
experience.
really.
Okay,
No.
good.
So we can't just sit around and talk about climate change and its effects and taking care of the environment. We have to do something about it. So what are some of the activities and projects that are part of this initiative?
So last year we had a climate summit at BC High where we had some professional speakers and some broke off into group workshops where we brainstormed ways that we could bring change and advocacy back to our own communities. And then a couple days later, there was a Youth Day of Action at the State House here in Boston, where the youth got to present some priority climate bills to their legislators and hope to bring about change that way.
Outstanding. Yeah.
And what are some of the goals of the program? Now, clearly, I know the goal is to reduce emissions and things like that, but what are some of the other goals?
So other goals include educating the youth in climate literacy and climate justice, but also just to become more aware of environmental issues, as well as making the U.S., making the Catholic Church more greener and hopefully having a net zero.
So I'm from a different generation. Now, you're both juniors, so you got next year's senior year, then you got to think about college. What do young people think about climate change? Are you guys unusual in the fact that you're really adamant about this, or are a lot of young people today looking into this and really serious about it?
Yeah, the youth is a huge part of this movement, and this organization specifically. There was a massive demonstration in New York City recently, which was pretty inspiring. But really, the youth is the next generation. We're taking over, so it's.
I think you're taking over the show.
Thank God.
But we're in the prime time to bring about the most change because we're hopefully going to be here for a while.
Do you see that, Emily?
Yeah, I see that definitely. Since we are going to be the next generation, and you know, these issues are not going to get any better unless we do something now. So I feel like as the generation of today, we need to do something to prevent future generations from facing the consequences of the carbon emissions that are happening right now.
I want you to know I drive an electric car, so
Good man.
I'm doing my little part, But there are a lot of problems, with climate, increasing temperatures, deforestation, pollution. For you guys, what are the most meaningful or most important problems to address?
Yeah, so I'd say I mentioned my background with air pollution and how that affects me, but I'd really have to say global warming as a result of the emission of greenhouse gases. I mean, we've seen it in some of our extreme weather here, but overall it affects all of us, everyone on God's planet, and therefore we're all responsible for it.
Mm-hmm. Emma?
Yeah, so I also did touch on natural disasters, and one thing I do feel like is very important to know is that these natural disasters have been getting much worse as in the past decade because of climate change, and the aftermaths are becoming more difficult to resolve. And again, these are affecting those who live in third world countries who do not have the access to address these issues, nor have they even been who have not even caused these emissions in the first place.
Well said. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank both of you for being on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure next week, after this performance, you'll be the host of this program, and I'll be watching you guys. But thank you so much for being on today.
Great to
it.
be with you. Great to meet you.